Hey everyone, welcome back to the series within a series, Grim Dawn Basics videos going over class combinations. Today we're going over the Spellbreaker, which is probably my second favorite after the Sorcerer, and we're basically going by my blunt and unabashed favoritism of these class combinations. Or by request. I'm sure someone can request something before I get to recording them all, because I don't think I'm going to be able to record them all in one session, because that's just a lot of talking. Anyways, moving along. The Spellbreaker, it is a really, really powerful combination of things. Mostly because of the combination of Myvan Sphere of Protection with Pneumatic Burst / Shadow Dance. With this, you have what might be the best core of defense in the game, because you'll have a constant damage reduction up of, 20% at 12 out of 12 on Myvan Sphere, with this constant stream of healing and this just constant avoidance, about 20% or so avoidance of enemy attacks. With this combination with Pneumatic Burst up, you can actually get your avoidance really, really high, which means you avoid a lot of things. And because Pneumatic Burst's duration is shorter than its cooldown, you can keep this up all the time while constantly healing yourself. And it even gets easier if you're dual wielding. Otherwise, your main combination of support is going to be across cold damage. And I went over the Arcanist abilities in the previous video, but I'm sort of going to do them again to give them a bit of a spin here for what they can provide a Spellbreaker character. So, first thing, a Panetti Spellbreaker is totally possible. I mean, the video on my channel is one of the most viewed and commented on ever. I'm not saying that to gloat, I mean that as a fact that it has a lot of comments and views on it. So it's obviously a build that people can pick up and play really easily. And that's the main advantage of a Panetti Spellbreaker. All you really need is Panetti's Replicating Missile built up on some level with Myvan Sphere Protection and Pneumatic Burst / Shadow Dance, and you basically have the character done. It has such a low gear dependency that you could probably run it in Ultimate without legendaries. And I mean, I've done a video where I've run a Spellbreaker through Ultimate with basically blues and greens on. It's a really, really powerful combination of abilities for defenses. And Panetti's Replicating Missile lets you just stay far away and just pelt enemies. And then it spreads to other enemies, which spreads to other... you can just clear rooms out while you're safe. Really, really solid build. I would assume Trojan Sky Shards could work with that as well, because it's cold damage, and they can get really, really powerful. Kalidor's Tempest is a little on the weaker side for this choice. If you want to build around it, you can build around it. You mostly, though, will have to rely on your Arcanist side of things for supporting the damage. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Yeah, same thing goes, I'm running this guy's Cold Aether, so you can actually build Cold Aether as well. It's not difficult to get that going. For Elric's Aether, you could do it as well. It's just that it would be kind of a weirder setup. And you'd be mostly relying on this side of the character to get the Aether damage built up. You can run Star Pact, and you'll definitely be supporting everything that the Spellbreaker has, because, let's say, Electra's Flash Freeze, which is great, will be on cooldown, and you can get a lot of cold damage on it. I mean, 2,237 is not an insignificant amount of damage for hitting the entire screen with it, and that just hurries it along. But also on the Nightblade side of things, what isn't on cooldown? I mean, yeah, Phantasmal Blades with Frenetic Throw is not cooldown, but otherwise it's a cooldown ability. Amarasta's Blade Burst is a cooldown ability. Ring of Steel is a cooldown ability. Shadow Strike is a cooldown ability. Pneumatic Burst is a cooldown ability. Blade Barrier, cooldown. Blade Trap, cooldown. Spirits, cooldown. I think the only thing that's not a cooldown ability are the dual wielding abilities. But otherwise, like Star Pact is really, really great once you think about it for a Spellbreaker, because it just reduces the cooldowns of everything that the class is doing. Now, of course, if you're doing a Panetti's build or you're dual wielding, you might not find it as useful, but like this character is based around Amarasta's Blade Burst, and having that as quick as possible is great, because it just means more bursts. So yeah, Star Pact really does support a Spellbreaker combo really well. And I'm not, like, that's not even me mentioning, like, the Arcanist cooldown abilities, like Devastation and Electric Flash Freeze, and putting Caladar's Tempest into Wrath of Agarex mode, or Mirror of Aractes, like, or Nullification. They're all cooldowns, and getting them quicker is just always better. Now, the build diversity is slightly, tiny bit less than a Sorcerer, I would say. And I think the next classes I'm going to be mentioning down the list are probably going to have a tiny bit more build diversity without gear reliance than the Spellbreaker. But I only say that because, like, outside of this great defensive setup, you're going to have to do a little find the right pieces of gear to support the thing. With the exception of, like, Panetti's and maybe Amarasta's Blade Burst and maybe Frenetic Throw, you probably could do as a, like, Pauper setup, Pauper gearing setup. Because you can actually get cold damage on your Nether Edge. And, is there weapon damage on this? There is. So I will also point out that Ascander's Elemental Exchange, if you're doing the dual wield setup, or the Phantasmal Blade setup, or, like, try to spam Shadow Strike setup, which I don't know if it exists anymore, really. Yeah, you would add on a lot of just flat elemental damage to all those attacks. So, yeah, Spellbreaker, really, really good. Mostly because of Myvan Sphere plus Pneumatic Burst Shadow Dance. Like, that just opens up all the builds, I think. I don't really think there's anything lacking either, because you have a lot of support for cold between these combinations as well. And that's what the Nightblade does really well, is cold damage. Cold and pierce and bleed. So there's not a lot of pierce or bleed support. But I mentioned, like, you could run Aether in this. So, conversely, you could run bleed and pierce and still be a Spellbreaker. The flip side would be picking up all the defensive abilities over here and not really caring about the damages. And then coming over here for your like, say, Merciless Repertoire and Anatomy of Murder, bleed damage and poison damage and whatever the pierce thing is in here, I don't even remember. Oh yeah, you also have, that's it. So you can also get your pierce damage and poison acid damage way up, and then the resistances are lowered along with cold. So yeah, Spellbreaker, really, really solid combination. I don't think there's anything else I need to mention about it. You can pretty much support all the builds well enough, mostly because of the defenses. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time for, I want to say, the... Ooh, I don't know what's going to be next. I wanted to say the Warder, but I don't have a Warder. Well, it's going to be a surprise then. It might be a Warder, though, and I'll do sort of a ham-fisted two-character look at it. So, yeah, I'll see you guys next time.